Let us continue. The voices of both Dr. Winford James and Rhoda Bharath. Going to the former Minister of Finance, Karen Nunes Teixeira, says it is the best time to begin lifting the fuel subsidies as TNT looks towards the mid-year budget review on the 8th of April. Hey, that's coming up next week or just about. This situation. Let's talk about the removal of fuel subsidies, Dr. James. Wayne first. Is this the appropriate time to do it with the nation where it is? On the one hand, you don't have the money. On the other hand, there are those who feel it will cause a domino effect of increased cost. The Maxi Taxi Association, they would us just up from a transportation standpoint. They disagree, say that we don't see that happening because we took action. What do you feel?
Well, there are different dimensions to the issue. There's a political dimension and there is the economic dimension. Clearly, if the government were to institute either a removal or a partial removal, economically the government will have more money to spend, right? And therefore to shore up the economy, whatever we understand that to mean. So that's clear. On the political level, the government cannot win because people's salaries and wages, especially those with fixed wages, are under stress. Under stress already because they are paying more for a number of things. Not everything, as people, outlandishly say. But they go to the supermarket and they find, that somehow they are paying more than they used to pay. Right? They're buying coconut water, they have to pay more. They're buying bananas, they have to pay more.
To a great extent, Doctor, let me just quickly say that I blame you, Rhoda, and all the folks at our institutes of higher learning because you have not given enough attention to mathematics because I cannot understand why the same item that was one cost at 15% VAT reduced to 12.5 is now costing more. You all
that
need
part,
to do
I agree.
You're blaming me. I want to blame the Consumer Affairs Division that has been sleeping on the job.
And ourselves as consumers.
Right, and I'm going to say good morning to Minister Paula Gopi-Schoon. And I'm going to say, hi, Minister. Good morning. Can you speak to the people at Consumer Affairs Division, please? I know that they don't necessarily have teeth to arrest people, but it's a watchdog organization and it needs to be doing its job. It's doing nothing.
And
it is lying down on the job.
Consumer responsibility as well.
Of course, there is consumer responsibility.
And the Prime Minister spoke to that as well in one of his TV interviews. I was able to turn back a place that sells doors and got them to put 12.5% rather than the 15% VAT. She said if I had not raised it, I would have had to pay the VAT. Now, where the money would have gone, I don't know. But I intervened. The doors were not cheap, Okay, so you could imagine the VAT. So I'm saying there is a certain consumer alertness that must be there.
No, I agree that there's a certain level of personal responsibility.
There's a duty of the minister.
There's a certain level of personal responsibility. If I see something being sold to me at a price that I'm uncomfortable with, I'm just not going to buy it.
No, but there are people who are selling their goods at base price, at a higher base price. So, for example, coconut vendors will tell you that they have to pay more for their nuts, and therefore they have to pass on the price to you, the consumer.
But you also have...
That's not VAT now.
You have registered businesses that are also doing a lot of foolishness.
Yes.
Right? They're still charging 15%.
It's not foolishness, dishonesty.
Yeah, well, it's criminal.
Yes, criminal. Yes, criminal. Indeed it is.
But that's payment of the VAT. But I'm saying there are things that have gone up in their base price,
and
which
things
is apart from the VAT.
And things that have gone up in their base price, which is apart from the VAT, I think I can turn around and say, no, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that means that you have to have an alternative, a replacement. And that is why self-reliance, if you're in that situation, becomes very important. Now,
it was just important for us to go down that avenue, but let's get back to the main road. After the main road you were talking about is the removal of the subsidies.
Yes, the political dimension, the economic dimension. The economic dimension is clear. If you want to give the state more money, just as if if you decide to bring back the property tax, government will have more money as well. And that is where the economic part of it lies. Okay, so we know that. Now, what are the effects on current consumers at fixed wages and salaries? What about those people who had been accustomed to a certain kind of living and now who will be required to adjust and certainly adjust downwards? And that's where the politics comes in. Because you see, if you bring back the property tax, which is very clear that's coming this year, and if you bring back remove the fuel subsidy, the question that has to be answered is, how is that benefiting me as a person at the individual level? How is that a strike for my economic advancement? How do I see that as an initiative of the government I voted into office to take care of me? Because they are moving from one thing to the next that takes away money from me, requires me to spend more for the same kind of service. And the question is that what I voted a government for? Politics of it.
Can I introduce you to reality?
So now I want to jump in. I'm glad that Dr. James went in that direction. So the question that is being raised here is value for money, quality of life. You're being taxed more, or you're paying more taxes, or getting less income. And what are your taxes going towards? And how is it improving your quality of life? So if I'm going to be paying property tax again now, because there was a moratorium on property tax, now I'm going to have to pay property tax. Will I be seeing improvements in the neighborhood that I live in? Right? So the ways in which council tax works for people who live in various parts of England, am I going to see property tax working for me in that way? If they reduce the subsidy, and I don't have a problem with the subsidy being reduced, especially if the reduction of that fuel subsidy is going to be going towards improved public transportation.
Okay.
If I have improved and effective and safe public transportation, the Minister of Finance gets a handshake from me.
You made the mention of, and while there are many dimensions of improvement necessary, Dr. James, Rhoda made a very good point there for yet moving into another tributary along our highway here, the question of quality of life and crime. Because there is absolutely no way you can tell me on the one hand, please understand, these sacrifices must be made because the company is without. I concur with that. I understand that clearly. But I am asking, can I get back a little something here called an improvement in this craziness you have called crime?
Yeah, that too. I mean, if what you are asking me to sacrifice and pay for, if you don't have the results of that policy, it's a policy decision. If I don't see benefits from that policy decision, why should I support?
Do we need to be more patient? Just before I get to you, Rhoda, do we need to be more patient, or are you happy with what you see being attempted?
Well, the patience does not arise just yet. What I mean respectfully is that the decision has not been taken. But the question is, how long after the decision is taken should I wait before I get the benefits I'm looking for?
Right. So you're looking at monitoring and evaluation there when you're talking about that. But I just want to tag on to what Winford was saying before, with the whole quality of life thing, and I wanted to give a tangible example in terms of national security. If you tell me that you're going to reduce the fuel subsidy and a particular percentage of that money that we're no longer going to be getting from that is going to be put towards creating or building more forensic centers, right? Because I am hearing that evidence in a case takes 30 months. 30, not 30 months to process. So if you've committed a crime today and they manage to get to the crime scene and they pick up the evidence from the crime scene, 30 months later is when the evidence has been processed and can now become part of a trial. That's crazy.
It's also crazy because it's costly, because now I'm holding you in remand. I'm denying you justice, which means justice denied is justice delayed is justice denied. But I'm denying you that. I'm sentencing you twice should you be found guilty, or I'm sentencing you even before you are found guilty, and I'm costing the state a lot of money to keep you there. So it's a lose-lose situation.
It is.
Right. Are you comfortable, Rhoda, what you're seeing so far, hearing articulated in the from the present government as it relates to the initiatives to at least combat crime? You can never stop that. Nobody's asking for that, but
no, you can't. You know what? I'm not uncomfortable. It's what, 6-7 months. We're about 7 months now.
That's too early.
It's been about a month since Rowley gave his midterm, his 6-month interview. I'm not perturbed by that. I'm going to agree with Winford here in that when you tell me that you're going to implement these measures, what I want you to tell me is we are expecting by this time frame or that time frame, these are some of the changes we're going to be seeing. Right? So I want to not just be told about measures, I want to be told about measurable time frames. When are we going to be seeing, when do they project results?
I'm always comfortable having these two.
How government policy is going to benefit people at the individual level.
Yeah.
How is that going to happen? If you're planning anything like that, that's what you have to do.
We are in tough economic times. I'm always happy to have these two wonderful guests here, Rhoda Bharath and Dr. James. But when I have the time, you hear me running through a lot of things because there's a lot to be discussed. Okay. Maybe I should just bring them in for a roundtable for 2 hours. But when I look at the mental health situation in this country, that is going to become even more dire as a consequence of these difficult times. We are looking at the mental institutions here. We're looking at mental health as an issue. It takes me directly to St. Anne's. It takes me to question.
Well, that's the only place it can take you to, because we've only got one major mental institution, and then after that you've got some wards. So if somebody were to say to me that health surcharge was going to be going towards, let's say they increase in health surcharge, and this is what the increase is going to be going towards, I am not going to kick a fuss.
Exactly.
If I hear that there are going to be more counseling facilities available to the wider society, so that people, when they're having a bad day, can walk into a clinic and have a conversation with somebody who is qualified, I'm not going to have a problem. So it boils right back down to the money, the taxes that we're spending, and the quality of life that we are receiving.
And that's why there are so many components to this. I'm not going to the easy area of 6 people paying $1,500 for a hacksaw to escape from the St. Anne's, which is the only facility we have. But I am going to stay in the area of, are we paying enough attention, Dr. James? Rhoda already made her point, and I concur with that. Are we paying enough attention to the mental health situation in this country? Because it is, I am confident, I feel confident rather, absent data, but I feel confident that it is grossly underestimated.
What an important question, Rennie B. And the quick response to that is government may be doing things, but not publishing what it is doing. The government may be planning initiatives, because what I am thinking of and what Rhoda has said are not brilliant things. I mean, these are straightforward things.
Very straightforward.
If they are straightforward and we can think of them, certainly government can think of them. And government, of course, has the resources to employ people to help them think about these things. That's why you have education, right? You send people to school, they have knowledge, they come back and say, look, based on the education we have received, this is where we must go. Look, we want to get best practice internationally. Let's take from Singapore, from Finland, wherever. And we are saying, let's go in that direction. The question is, how are they communicating that to the public? Now, I'm trying to give government a bly here, because I can't imagine otherwise. Now, so that is enough background for me to say, on the evidence and what I have heard, there doesn't seem to be much going on in terms of how we relate to the serious decline in mental health in the country. There doesn't seem to be much going on there. How do we manage that situation? How do we ameliorate? There doesn't seem to be. But that goes against the grain, if you understand me. And that is why I was falling back on the possibility that government may not be communicating very well. Their PR machinery probably is not working as well, because it stands to reason.
I have a major problem.
Now, with respect to what we mean by mental health, I'm not so sure, Rennie. I do know, of course, we have the St. Anne's institution, and I do see an unrelieved number of vagrants on the street who appear to be mentally diseased. Yes? And I suppose we can say that one sign of the decay in mental health in the country is the number of vagrants, either remaining constant or increasing, but certainly the number is not decreasing.
No, it isn't.
Right? And that could be dangerous, yes.
Just as much as you have functional illiterates, you have functional people who are functioning and they have crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, the number of homeless or displaced persons that we have out on the streets now gives you a gauge of what's going on with us in terms of mental health.
That's the point.
It gives you a gauge.
That's the point.